Hey guys, today I want to talk with you about one of the most evil bullies of them all and what is being referred to as the true crime community on YouTube. Those of us who actually have been in the true crime community for many years watched when the case of Christopher Watts came along, and we saw a bunch of people who didn't have a clue about true crime cases suddenly jump on and say, oh, yeah, they're a true crimer. No, not so much. But evidently, they were recruited to try to somehow gain control over the narrative on the case of Christopher Watts. One of the worst offenders, one of the most evil bullies of them all, still has a video on YouTube that is nothing but slanderous and defamatory against both Cindy Watts and me. And the comment threads are full of more defamatory statements. Oh, yeah, she's monetized for sure. She's making money off of pretending to give a shit about anybody being bullied. I don't collect the information that is posted online, but from time to time, those who do collect the information bring certain pieces of information to my attention. And the video that is still online that I just referred to was just brought to my attention again with the question of whether or not I care to pursue a civil suit against the channel creator. So I'm scrolling down, taking a look at the comment threads. It's interesting too, because she starts off saying that she's sick of hearing that this is still going on. This is another channel that YouTube is allowing someone to bully and harass the family and victims of it. What? I have never harassed the family. That is a lie. And I have never harassed the victims of any violent crime. Maybe we should just go down through the list and just count the number of lies that this evil bully has posted. But we have to scroll down. Let's see. Become a member of her blog. Shop for the channel merch here. Oh, here's the Amazon affiliate link. Oriental Trading is a great place to shop. Blah, blah, blah. I have an affiliate link. Wow, and support the channel while you shop there. Oh, there's the Patreon account. Let's see. Here's the code. Evidently, she can make money off of all of these little affiliate links. Even Walmart. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. Zulily. Affiliate link. I didn't know all those affiliate link opportunities were there. Another PayPal. Let's see. I'm just scrolling through. There are so many. Sorry. Oh, there's the Facebook page. There's the Twitter. Oh, additional affiliate links. Wow. How many affiliate links does she have? And even more. Amazing. You can earn money back one every order. Can't even spell right in her own promo. When you shop at Walmart, Target, eBay, blah, 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 blah. Here is an affiliate code. Oh, here's another affiliate link. Web hosting, themes for your websites. Wow. Amazing. So many opportunities for her to rake in some cash. And then she posted her own statement and she pinned it. You know, it's the top comment. It says, first off, I want to say I had to just upload this video as it came off my camera. I apologize for the quality of the lighting. I also misspoke in the beginning and said killed by her husband when I meant her son. Because remember, she was bashing Cindy Watts in this video also, besides bashing me. She says, I did not get to finish my sentence on the definition of insanity, which is for Cindy Watts to keep slandering Shanann and expect a different result. I got news for you, chickadee. There's no such thing as slandering Shanann. Her comment continues, Beyone this, Beyone. Spelling is an issue for these people, isn't it? Beyone this, a few comments said, why address this? I will tell you that I will not stand by and see anyone degrade and slander the victim of a violent crime. The only one committing slander, chickadee, is you. She says, I am proud to use my voice to speak for the voiceless. Really? Because what you're doing is you're using your voice to bully, harm, and harass innocent people. Her comment continues, I believe in taking a stand against evil. Yeah, right. What is being done to Shanann is evil. I will not stay silent when this is going on. It is disgusting and against YouTube terms of service. Are you kidding me? Evidently, this virtue signaling channel creator thinks that when another channel creator is discussing that look of sadness and even fear in poor little Bella's eyes, that that's a bad thing? I don't think so. And you know what? Even if she thinks that's a bad thing, it gives her no right at all to be continuing to bully, harass, and harm innocent people. The comment threads are full, and she's active in her own comment threads too. One comment after another with libelous content all the way through. All the way through. Who's the bully? Who's the most evil bully of them all? Well, one hint that I have found as I've watched the different channel creators discussing the case of Christopher Watts over the last 3 years is that if they say that they're going to pray for you, watch out. And I'm not saying anything at all against Christianity or against prayer. But if a channel creator is nothing but an evil POS bully, and then they say, oh, I'm going to pray for you, and they put their little prayer hands up, well, there's your first clue that they're part of the problem, that they're feigning concern about. So, what's your opinion? What do you think about channel creators who hop on and say how they're against bullying, but you know, if you've been watching for the last 3 years, that they're bullies themselves? How do you deal with that? Do you call them out on their bullying? Do you ignore them? Do you just recognize that they're probably just trying to create content somehow? Since, as we know, true crime isn't really their thing to begin with. Or do you tell your lawyer's investigator to go ahead and submit everything for the lawyer to prepare the documents? What's the right move forward? Does it matter? Should I care? Should I stand up for what's right and say, enough of your evil bullying? Tell me your opinion. What would be the best course of action? Of course, you know, if I filed a suit against her, it would just give her more content, right? But it would be interesting to see who she's connected to. Or to hear even her basis for her claims. You guys know how defamation works, right? It would be up to her to prove her claims were true, or she would be liable, right, for committing defamation. I don't know. What do you think? Do you remember when I was talking about the scripts that the teams and the gangs use and how they get a little list of suggestions for building content and how they're recruited by others who say, hey, we can help you. We can help you build your channel. It's interesting that this particular channel creator is one who attempted to appear, it seems, as if she was exposing the scripts that others were using. So I don't know. Hey, Smile. Yep, I can see you. I'll put your first comment up first. Upstanding Citizen said, hey, Miss Mensa, it's Smile here. How are you? Thank you for the message. And then her second message is, Miss Mensa, can you see me? Because usually I read off your comments right away. I can see you. What do you think, Smile? Do you think I should waste any time or energy attempting to stand up to one of the evil bullies? Or do you think I should just carry on and continue to ignore her? Time is valuable. Yet there comes a point, I think, when we need to stand up for what's right. And to continue to allow somebody to bully others the way that she does. This isn't even just to stand up for Cindy Watts or to stand up for myself. That's to stand up for everybody's right and for our freedom to discuss true crime cases that are clearly on the public stage, to be able to do so without being attacked by gangs and teams of thugs. It's so interesting to watch what's going on over in the UK, isn't it? When you see all the different channels over in the UK and everywhere else too, but going after the guy over in the UK. And then him trying to fight back. And it just seems over and over again like it's just, I don't know, like it's all planned, like it's organized, like it's all fake almost, it seems. Is this how they build content? Is this the best they've got, really? To try to build a channel? Is their channel building process so important to them that they don't mind harassing innocent people? Are they so insecure that they can't just create their channel without belonging to those teams and those gangs? You've got this channel fighting with that channel and that channel fighting with the other channel, and the other channel who started off doing nothing but bashing the one channel, they're now best buddies while they're both against another channel who used to be the best buddy when the first one was attacking the other one. Like, come on. Aren't these people all claiming to be adults? This is really interesting. We have 26 people here and one person commenting. Isn't that interesting? I think Sundays must be one of the big work days for people who are, on the job, ready to take screenshots and ready to copy videos and report back to their leaders. Oh, we have two people commenting. Yay. So we have two people brave enough to speak while the others evidently are lurking. Isn't this weird? So against bullying, right? So against bullying that they fail to see that in fact they're the bullies. Ms. Merriweather says, I don't understand how the bullies are missing the point. We discuss to find answers and ultimately a blueprint for prevention. Well, a couple of things, Ms. Merriweather. They were attacking me and many others before many of us they were attacking had even heard of this stupid case. So evidently there was already a plan in action to create what's called scapegoats or antagonists. In fact, Daniel Bishop, when he was back in full swing attacking me, sometimes on a daily basis there for a while, lying about me, making ridiculous claims, sitting there with his gun in his hand, saying that his son was afraid of me. Really? When he was knee deep in the bullshit, he would later admit that he was told early on that I wasn't a real person. Well, what I'd like to know is who told him that? And who told him to attack me in the first place? Your point is well made, Ms. Merriweather. We discuss to find answers and ultimately a blueprint for prevention. We're evidently supposed to feel bad about caring about Bella and Cece and what they suffered through leading up to the tragedy. We're supposed to be bashed and harassed and harmed and tormented and threatened even for discussing how to help promote awareness so that in the future other children can be safe in their own home. Of course, none of that makes any sense, right? So what's the answer? What is the answer? Is it time to take legal action against those who are continuing the harassment and abuse? Most of the people they use to do, the dirty work with those gangs and those teams don't have a penny to their names, right? I wonder if they strategically choose certain people to do their dirty work, the ones out front. I agree, Paul. I do think that the vast majority of those who are attacking others, of those who are part of those gangs, of those who are looking at their scripts, of those who are taking a look at the hot topics for the day and trying to figure out how to make more money off of their YouTube channels, I think the vast majority of them are on disability. And I would say that the same comment that the friend, his name was Jeremy, the friend of the Watts family, that he made about Christopher Watts' wife could be said for those who have been attacking us. I don't think any of their health challenges are physical. I think the problem on YouTube did start when the unlimited phone data plans were first given to those with their government free phones. What was that, 2015? I don't know, 2014, 2015? Because I've been in the true crime community for many years. And before that point in time, true crimers discussed true crime cases with no problem. But then it seems like when those phone data plans went to the unlimited for the freebies, then a whole bunch of people jumped on YouTube and decided that their new quote unquote work was to run around posting prayer hands and chains of hearts and to act like they gave a shit about a case that they don't even know the details of. Anytime we have had a shiner up on the panel, we ask simple questions about the case itself to see if they know what they're talking about. And they fail each time. They don't even know when Cece's birthday was. But oh, they care so much, right? No, they don't care. They don't even care enough to spell their words correctly. And in many cases, they don't even know how to spell Christopher Watt's wife's name. What they know how to do is to create a bunch of fake profiles and to run around trying to harass other people. And then a few of them create videos like the one I was talking about at the beginning of this video, where they commit outright defamation and slander against innocent people. I'm going to call you Smile. Upstanding citizen, who is AKA Smile, says it's astonishing. I can't talk this morning. Okay, Smile says it's astonishing how long these people can stay awake. I'm trying to think. One of them says, she proudly admits that she's on YouTube 20 to 24 hours per day. She proudly admits it. Many of them are on for 8 or 10 or 12-hour live chats. Or they're on one live chat and then they're wrenching for another live chat and then they're holding a 3-hour. They're on YouTube constantly. Why? Is that what their drugs do for them? And Smile says there does seem to be a new influx now and again while others disappear. And I think what's important to realize is that while there are some newbies coming along, a lot of the ones who have disappeared come back with fake profiles. They rotate their profiles. Well, Sharon, I think they have the time because I think they have nothing going on in real life. And I think they're addicted to their perch. I really do. I think that's what they're connected to. Claire says, I think YouTube is an addiction for them. I agree, Claire. I agree. Yes, Susie, the new breed. And it becomes so important to them, too. It's amazing. When they start crying and they start, going berserko with their anger, and they have their meltdowns, and they threaten each other, and then they cry some more, and then they threaten some more, and, at one point they're saying they're big, bad, and tough, and they can take down whoever, and then the other breath they're sobbing away because they just want it all to stop. I saw one, I think it was last night, I saw one little clip to one where the person was just going on and on, it has to stop, and she was begging and pleading, it has to stop. And then I recognized the name and I thought, what? You're one of the worst. So they want it to stop while they keep on doing it. It's like, if you want it to stop, then remove your crap. The one I was talking about when I first started this video, she's making money off of that video. She is making money off of it. So she has a choice in life, right? She can decide to do the right thing and remove any of her shit videos that are committing defamation and slander. Or she has the choice to go, ooh, she can still make some money off of those little commercials. So what is she choosing to do? Well, is she choosing the right path of removing her slanderous and defamatory comments? Or is she choosing to keep trying to rake in some easy cash off of a true crime case, right? Well, the video's still up, so there you go. For anybody out there who is hopping up on the panels and saying, how can we get along? Let's all just get along. The first step is to remove your crap. If you've posted crappy comments all over on other people's channel, on their comment threads, then you know what? You need to change your YouTube profile. If you're either A, too lazy, or you posted so many you can't remember where they all are so you can go back and delete them, then you need to change your name, change your profile. Delete the offending profile that posted the slanderous, libelous, and defamatory crap. Exactly, Susie. We made peace. That is the script now, isn't it? Yes, we made peace with each other. For this week, anyway. Well, Smile, I think they do call it work. I think they actually think it is work. And I, quite frankly, don't think any of them know what the word work even means. Sharon says they earn loads. I don't think they earn loads at all. I think it's just like signing up for an MLM. I think they have a lot of people around them who are convincing them that they're actually earning loads or that they have the opportunity to earn loads. But at the end of the day, I think they'd make a hell of a lot more money at a minimum wage job. Sharon says some do some earn thousands. I doubt it, Sharon Ann. I think they have other people paying their bills, and I think they're on disability. I think you have to get up into the 100,000 subs or more before you're making any income. And I think you have to have quality content too. And I haven't seen that happening yet from any of the channels that have been bullying other people. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Smile. She says to Sharon, bless you, but there is a feeling of satisfaction that I don't think you get from being a troll. I've spoken to one who I believe was hired by one of the worst channel creators of all. And he tried to describe that to me. He said that there's just nothing like it. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh. And he explained to me that the people attacking me were actually trying to push me to commit suicide. They were actually hoping for harm to come to me. He said that there would be nothing better. It would be like a win for them. Like, that's really sick. That's really, really sick. But again, I think they were sick to begin with before they ever got involved with any of those groups or gangs or teams. The one I mentioned a few minutes ago, the one who was practically, well, she was crying at one point and angrily, F this, F that in the next couple minutes. She was absolutely one of the worst. But evidently, they just kind of flip their scripts from time to time, and then all of a sudden they want everyone to be holding hands and singing Kumbaya. Remove the crap that you've posted. Remove it. Delete it. Even if that means having to delete your YouTube profile, delete it. Because as long as that crap's still up there, then the person who posted it is still committing defamation and slander. And if it's a comment, they're committing libel and defamation. And they're all committing harassment. And many of them have committed doxing and stalking. I think it's so interesting how Daniel Bishop admitted that he was told I was not a real person when he was attacking me. Who told him that? Who recruited him? Who is he working with? Who is on his team? Because until any of these channel creators who are claiming they've, I don't want to say come to Jesus because I don't want to be sacrilegious and talking about the stupid YouTube drama at all. But those who are claiming, they've turned over a new leaf, they haven't turned over a new leaf until they have admitted what they've taken part in. I agree. They are not here for true crime. And if you have been a true crimer longer than, the case of Christopher Watts, then you know they're not true crimers at all. True crimers don't go chasing after open cases at all. True crimers discuss closed cases. And we analyze every detail of whatever cases catch our interest. The people on YouTube now calling themselves true crimers, let's face it, they're chasing whatever case that they know. If they put the name of it in their title, then they might get someone to watch them. They don't know diddle squat about those cases. And they should not be discussing open cases in the manner that they do. How many times do you hear the word alleged? You don't. Over and over again, we see channel creators posting content accusing innocent people. Yes, innocent people. Because in the United States, it's the law. The accused are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But that doesn't stop the YouTubers, does it? That's an interesting point to bring up that Netflix movie because, once again, interest in this case had died down to nothing. This is not the case that most true crimers are talking about. And it seems like whenever we hit a point where nobody's talking about it at all, then all of a sudden, whoop, yeah, we're going to have an appearance here and an appearance there, and watch for this new movie. And fight, 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 right? Oh, this one's harassing, that one's harassing, that one's harassing, that one. And I, for one, I step back from watching what's supposedly going on in the UK, and I think it might all be scripted. I've noticed too that a lot of the channel creators are like failed in real life. I don't know of, I don't know. There's one I can think of who tries to sing sometimes in his videos, and there's another one who tries to act like he's some kind of a stand-up comic or something. It seems like a lot of them have like that itch to be in front of an audience with a guitar, in their hands, but they never quite made it, in the real world. Have you noticed too, one of them is rearing her, I won't say that. She's popped up again in a lot of the panels, on a lot of the panels, and she keeps calling herself a mediator. And I think that is just so offensive. It is so offensive. There for a while, we had an influx of psychos who were calling themselves advocates, right? Victim advocates, victim advocates. Well, they were threatening other people to hurt them, to harm them. Or coaches. That was another big one there for at least about 6 months. A lot of people were claiming they had college degrees who actually didn't. Some were claiming they were licensed victim advocates, yet there's no such thing. I think really change starts with each and every one of them. The ones who are up on the panel saying, how can we make it all stop? They didn't mind when they were part of the pack that were the packs and the groups and the teams that were attacking innocent people who they randomly chose. They plucked out of the true crime community to create scapegoats so they could try to, make a little money off the case. They didn't mind when they were attacking innocent true crimers. But now that they're all fighting between themselves, now suddenly they want the fighting to stop. And they say, how can we make it stop? Well, remove your crap. Start with yourself. Remove your defamatory content. Remove your slanderous content. Remove your libelous comment threads. If you are the channel creator and you're allowing those comments on your channel along with your defamatory and slanderous videos, guess what? You're the one committing those crimes of harassment and doxing and stalking, you're the one civilly liable for those acts. If you want the fighting to stop, then stop the fighting by removing the crap that you have posted online. Remove it. All of it. Scrub it. And then if you want to call yourself a true crimer, then talk about true crime cases. But it doesn't mean accusing innocent people of crimes that they have yet to be convicted of. Robin says they don't want to discuss the case. They claim we are bashing a dead woman. Well, I'm here to tell you, Robin, we have never bashed a dead woman. If asking the question, what dose exactly is lots of Tylenol, is something that they consider to be bashing Christopher Watt's wife, then it must mean that they agree that the parenting skills were somewhat questionable. And I'm being polite. Exactly, Robin. This is the channel where we actually care about what Bella and Cece suffered through. Exactly right. No apologies needed for that. Smile says, Miss Mensa, they don't want it to stop, so now it is done so brazenly. They think just because something is in public domain, it's okay for YouTube. And what that tells me is they do not have an understanding at all of the law. They have no right to be harassing other people. They have no right to be stalking other people. They have no right to be doxing other people. Susie, that's the $1 million question, I think. I think that is the $1 million question. Susie says it makes you wonder where the orders are coming from to silence us. And it isn't even just to silence people. Because remember, the attack started before I had even heard of this case. I was on vacation. I hadn't even heard of this case, and they were already targeting me along with 9 other people that I'm aware of immediately after this case hit the headlines. So who organized the attacks? Who is recruiting people to attack innocent people? Who is so interested in evidently attempting to control the narrative on this case? Well, Susie, I still don't know what I think about the UK situation because I personally question whether or not anybody is actually being harassed or if they're just dancing back and forth to keep the content rolling in. I find it very questionable for any person to be posting all sorts of information about their law firm. And that reminds me of something. I don't remember what link it was. Somebody sent me a little clip where the banana one is claiming, no, wait, it was the other one, the KK one, claiming that she speaks with Cindy multiple times every day. And then they were saying also, I think, how the banana one got a lawyer for Christopher Watts. Do you guys believe any of that crap? I don't know. Do you believe any of it? Robin says, whenever I challenge Christopher Watts' confession, I'm accused of being in love with him. Seriously? And those accusations were right at the start, too. They were like, you must be in love with Christopher Watts. I think it was either a text message or a comment, I'm not sure, on the channel. But I think it was a text message, yeah. And they said, to my cell phone, and they said that I need to know that Christopher Watts would not be attracted to me, that I'm not his type. I couldn't believe it. Are you kidding me? He's younger than my youngest. I mean, come on. These people are psycho, that's for sure. And if you dare to actually discuss this case, which we do, because we have the right and the freedom to do so, and I think the duty and the responsibility too. If you dare to discuss this case, then watch out. You're either NK, or you're her sister, or you're her cousin, or you're her aunt, or you're her mother, or you are her best friend, or you're Jamie, or you're Cindy, or you're in love with Christopher Watts, or you're jealous of his wife. To which I think most of us say, jealous of what? Her husband was in love with another woman. That marriage was over long before the tragedy occurred. Jealous of what? You guys know the stuff that the psycho, whatever they are, what the psychos pulled, what they have pulled over the last 3 years. Harassing my family and me, harassing my employer. They have pulled so many ridiculous tactics, and they've used such disgusting approaches to trying to, their claim is that they're not going to stop until they, quote, destroy me. For what? And I'll tell you something, my life is pretty boring. To them, anyway. So what did they do? They created their own storyline. And they pushed it. And now there are actually newbies coming on board who recite some of that garbage that the scumbags created on their own. And it's like, whoa, where are you getting this information? Well, obviously, right? It's obvious. But again, that's what we need to find out from Daniel Bishop. Who told you that I'm not a real person? Who recruited you to attack me? And until the channel creators who actively took part in the attacks, until they come clean on who they're working for, who recruited them, then they're still attacking. Until they clean up their crap off of the channels that they've posted, they're still attacking. And in fairness to Daniel Bishop, he has removed his crappy stuff. So that's good. But he needs to take it a step further. And he needs to come clean and announce to the world on his platform who recruited him, who told him that I wasn't a real person. I do think it makes it more difficult for them to control the narrative when people like us get together and actually discuss the case. Interesting. I just read Susie's comment saying absolutely possible to Jeanette. So I scrolled up and I read Jeanette's comment. Very interesting. You know, a few of the scumbag attackers admitted that they were working together for 3 years. They said that in 2018, that they had been working together already for 3 years. Are they out there being paid to harass others? Smile says everyone is jealous of everyone. Is it they're jealous, or is it that they're trying to be the leader of the pack or the lead team? Is there some sort of a bonus maybe? Are they worried about whether or not they'll be able to up their contract when it comes up for renewal? How many teams are actually employed and how many are just knuckleheads who they recruited with promises of helping them to build a channel? So that's, I think, my message at this point as I'm looking over this information that was sent to me. I think there are many of us who actually hold on to the hope that the scumbag attackers will recognize that maybe the true crime community on YouTube isn't where they need to be planting all their seeds. I think there are probably many of us who are holding out the hope that they'll actually remove their crap. Though I don't think any of us should be holding our breath for that. But I also hope that the people who have been actively involved in the attacks against those of us who they've been attempting to, quote, destroy, I hope they come clean. We've had a few people come forward already, and they offer up information about how the attackers do what they do and who they're connected to. But I think it's time for those who do come forward privately to come forward publicly on the same platforms that they used to harm and to harass innocent people. Did they sign a non-disclosure? Have they signed a non-compete? Are their hands dirty? Are they too afraid to come clean in fear that they'll be next on the list of those who the scumbag attackers will be going after? I think that's important to remember, Paul. I think there's a strange connection there when that KK started being vocal. She claimed that Christopher Watt's own sister called her and told her to. Right at the same time that an actual lawyer was offering to help her brother. There's something kind of weird about that. Yes, Marge, that other case, it's pretty interesting, isn't it? How the scumbag attackers have all latched right onto it. And I'm not saying everyone who's discussing it is a scumbag attacker, but I have noticed that the scumbag attackers have all latched right onto that case. And then the case before that, the one out of Tennessee. So, what's really going on social media? Are these teams forming regularly? Where are they recruited from? Is this like an online opportunity for them to make some extra cash to add to their disability check income? Are they told, like Daniel Bishop was, that the people they're attacking aren't real people? What's the truth? Oops, I forgot. We're never going to know the truth. That's what we've been told anyway. Because they don't tell people like us. I will say this, I do think that the majority of the attackers have lost any incentive to continue attacking people specific to the case of Christopher Watts. And for that, I'm thankful for. That's great. But when we see them still in action with those other cases, it makes you wonder about social media as a whole. What on earth are our children and our grandchildren inheriting? Is it time for everybody to just turn off social media? I mean, real people with real lives who have the ability to think? Is it time? You know, there was a time back in the 80s and 90s where parents were realizing it was time to turn off the television. It was time to turn off the Disney movies and time to turn off anything techno for our children. Well, is it time for thinking, hardworking, decent, honest adults to say no more social media? Oh, that's right. Susie, sorry. I always do that. Susie's helping me be current. Tech Mensa, tech. LOL. Lots of love. I noticed that, Paul. She was a nutritionist. Yes, she was a nutritionist. Just a heads up for any of you who are lurking who don't know better, you have to go to college and get a college degree to be a nutritionist. It doesn't mean getting the minimum wage job at a juice bar. That does not make you a nutritionist, just like calling yourself a nurse, as we saw in the case of Christopher Watts, does not make you a nurse. Techno is rave music. So I'll put this out there. If you've been a scumbag attacker in the past, delete your crap. If you're sitting there worried that the scumbag attackers are going to turn on you if you come forward and tell what you know, well, all I can say is sucks to be you. There's a word for that. And shame on you for allowing that to keep you from being a truthful person. Daniel Bishop, I think you should get in front of your microphone, look right into the camera, and tell the world, who told you that I'm not a real person? And the scumbag attacker, the most evil bully of them all, blah, 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 who I was referencing at the beginning of this video, remove your defamatory and slanderous video. Remove the defamatory and libelous comment threads. And stop committing slander and defamation. Because quite frankly, I have better things to do with my life than to deal with you in court. I'm not saying I won't. I'm simply saying I'd prefer not to have to waste any of my time to have the court order you to do what you should have done long ago. Which is a good segue now into the issue of the harassment against Cindy Watts. As time goes on, and you look at the big picture, look at how Cindy Watts was being attacked immediately as soon as the case hit the headlines. She was attacked from day one. She was dehumanized even. Some of the people were like, I'm not sure what her name was. I don't know. Talking to a law enforcement officer and saying, I don't know what her name was. Yeah, I think it was Cindy. She was dehumanized. She was ridiculed. A narrative was spun that she and her daughter-in-law didn't get along. Yes, they did get along for 5.5 years. They didn't get along when her daughter-in-law was in North Carolina for a visit right before the wedding. And they didn't get along 5.5 years later when her daughter-in-law was in North Carolina again for a visit right before the big birthday party. But those 5.5 years in between, they got along just fine. In fact, in my opinion, Cindy Watts is the person who Christopher Watts' wife trusted the most, as evidenced by her choice to ask Cindy to babysit Bella and Cece when she traveled. She had other options, and she chose her mother-in-law. She welcomed her mother-in-law into her home at least twice a year for an extended stay vacation. When families live that far apart, a couple times a year for an extended stay vacation and regular contact by phone is normal and healthy. They got along just fine. In fact, they got along very well. In fact, they got along so well that the night before the nut meltdown, Christopher Watts' wife confided many hurtful, very personal details of her life because she trusted Cindy Watts. People want to say how Cindy Watts is out there bashing her daughter-in-law. No, she isn't. If she wanted to get out there and discuss her daughter-in-law, She could be talking all about what her daughter-in-law told her the night before that nut meltdown. And so far, she hasn't said a word. Cindy Watts and her daughter-in-law were close. Cindy Watts was an excellent mother and grandmother and mother-in-law. Why, when there is a woman listed as an endangered missing person, why was the subject of the day whether or not Cindy Watts attended a wedding? And why, if that topic is so all important, why aren't we talking about the guest list for Christopher Watts' wife's previous wedding? I mean, if 5.5 years going by doesn't matter, then what's another few years? Who went to the first wedding? Who didn't go to the first wedding? Where's the guest list? Where are the photos? Obviously, the answer is, what does that matter? To which I would reply, well, I don't know. Evidently, attending a wedding matters. Good for Cindy for not attending that shit show. And good for Ronnie, and good for Jamie, and good for every other Watts relative for not attending that shit show. I'm sorry, but buying a big white poofy Disney princess dress, well, that's not even a Disney princess dress with that. No. But, going all white and trying to make it look like it's a big shindig, why is that? Was that because she didn't have a big shindig the first time? Why didn't she have a big shindig the first time? Why was her dress knee length the first time? Why was her bouquet very small? Where were the bridal attendants the first time? Were there any? Again, it doesn't matter. Or does it? Like, if we're going to micro focus on every little detail of the second, or who knows how, I don't know, the wedding with Christopher Watts, if all of those details matter so much, then let's ask the same questions about the first wedding. Why wasn't she wearing a big white dress at the first wedding? Why is it that everyone even knew that she didn't attend the wedding? What's that got to do with anything? 5.5 years later, when there's an endangered missing woman who one of the friends was told to check the knives, yeah, Bridezilla fired everyone. What are they supposed to do? Oh, okay, Bridezilla, you can go ahead and treat us like shit, and we'll go ahead and show up so you can treat us like shit some more. That's not how real life works. Does anybody really think that Christopher Watts' wife minded that all those people didn't come to the wedding? I kind of think it was her plan, wasn't it? Good one, Paul. That was part of the narrative early on, wasn't it? Oh, she put her husband through law school. Yeah, right. Sure she did. That's why they split up a couple of years before he got his law degree, right? Exactly, Miss Merriweather. Cindy Watts is a mother. She says, it offends me that people expected her to stop loving her son, especially since he was the abused. I don't think they ever expected her to stop loving her son. I think what they were looking for, searching for desperately, was any hint of any statement that she ever made that they could twist and turn and try to make it look like it was something other than it was. A mother telling her son, no matter what happened, we're here for you. There's nothing wrong with that. Moms do that. But the scumbag attackers had to take that and go, look at that. She doesn't even care what he did. Ah. Robin says her dress had to be tailored. His tux looked like crap. That dress was not fitted properly, and that tux was a joke, an absolute joke. And yet, I received a phone call from somebody who said that she tried to get $600 out of him, 600 cash out of him one day, telling him that the reason she needed 600 cash, even though, she was making $500,000 a year, right? Because she was so highly successful. But she was trying to get 600 cash out of him one day, telling him that that was what it cost to have that wedding dress altered. I'm sorry, but I highly doubt that dress even cost 600, quite frankly. But trying to convince Christopher Watts that she needed $600 to have a dress altered. And guess what? He didn't believe it. That's what I was told by the person who contacted me, that he didn't believe it would cost that much, and he offered to go with her to pay it. What that tells me is that even before the wedding, he was already seeing through the financial mess. Smile said, I thought I heard somewhere the dress cost $5,000. Well, I don't doubt that you heard that somewhere. I highly doubt the dress cost anything close to that. And again, if we're going to ask why didn't Cindy Watts go to the wedding, I want to know, why didn't she wear a white dress at her first wedding? Why was her wedding dress knee length? Why weren't there any photos? Well, maybe there were. But so far, the photos people have sent me, I don't see any bridal attendants. Why not? Why wasn't that groom wearing a tux? And again, none of this really matters, right? In the same way that it doesn't matter whether or not Cindy Watts went to the second wedding, we're told. Did you guys know that when this case first came out, and I say first came out, I'm thinking it was probably like mid-September, maybe October, probably mid-October, I don't know. So it was like a month or two later. Did you know that the false narrative included that this was like their fairy tale wedding? They were presented as if they were, lovebirds for a long while and finally tied the knot. Then it came out that she was married before. Isn't that interesting? And you know how that came out? Because those of us they had selected to target with their scumbag attacks were being called serial, what was it? Serial something. They were going on and on that we were divorced. We were divorced. We were divorced. Well, if you've looked at the statistics lately, like big flipping deal. So we wondered, we talked between ourselves and we wondered, why are they doing this? Especially they were saying it about some of us, a few out of the 10 of us, 3 of them hadn't even been divorced. But we were all being attacked in the same way. And then we thought, wait a minute, because they were also accusing all 10 of us of having filed multiple bankruptcies. And a bunch of us, including me, had never filed any bankruptcy at all. Not once, let alone multiple bankruptcies. They were calling us child abusers too, and not one of us, not one of the 10 of us who they selected to attack, had ever abused any child. One by one, we went down the list. They said we were lying about our careers and our education. One by one, we went down the list of the accusations they were making against us, and we dug into the case of Christopher Watts, and we found out about those bankruptcies. We found out about the previous marriage. We found out about the nursing program that didn't even exist. And we began to wonder, they're accusing us of being child abusers? Well, everything else they've accused us of has pretty much rung true for Christopher Watts' wife. Let's dig in. Smile wants to know, what is a dead claim in relation to the mortgage or bankruptcy? I don't know. What do you mean? Exactly, Susie. She wiped out his account. He was brainwashed by then already, believing that he wasn't good with money. But if it's true what the person told me, that he did stand up when it came to that $600 alteration fee, then he had to have had some sort of clue, right? Ah, but love is blind. And in fairness to him, he was a guy in his 20s who was believing the majority of her lies. Robin said he may have believed he was beyond the point of no return. I think so. And we've received other interesting phone calls too about that time frame, about interesting happenings during that time frame. I think he may have felt that she needed him. Exactly, Robin. Jeremy said it best when he said he never believed that her issues were physical. Money, money, money. All about the money. I think the scumbag attackers are all about the money. I think Christopher Watts' wife was all about the money when he first dated her. I think she targeted him. I don't believe any of the crap that we've heard that he supposedly chased her down on Facebook. I highly doubt that. I think she could not afford the house she was in. And I think she decided that his paycheck would be enough. His paycheck and his credit rating. I don't think Christopher Watts' wife worked. I don't think she had a history of being a hard worker. I think she had a history of trying to appear as if she was productive. I think she was a liar. And I think Christopher Watts wanted badly to believe her lies. Robin brings up the familial Mediterranean fever. I think she was trying to get Bella and Cece on disability. And the other day when I was talking about that surgery that both girls had to have, I think it was in March of 2018, I think she was hell-bent on finding a doctor to perform those surgeries. And in fairness to whatever doctor performed those surgeries, doctors rely heavily on parent reporting, just like the whole allergy routine. I don't believe for 1 second that either child had allergies. I don't believe they had asthma. I don't think Christopher Watt's wife even knew what the word work meant, except maybe work in a crowd or work in her husband. I think all of it was a scam. I think all of it was a lie. One of the stories that Cindy Watts told us and told me in detail was about the day that Christopher Watt's wife walked the girls and her suitcase. And Cindy was so excited to have her daughter-in-law and her granddaughters there for the weekend. They were hugging and so excited to see each other. And then she showed her daughter-in-law to the bedroom, and she helped her with her suitcase, of course. And they went to the bedroom, and just a few minutes later, they turned around and they saw little Cece covered in chocolate. She had chocolate all over her face, and she had a mouthful of chocolate. Leading up to that day, Christopher Watt's wife repeatedly told her mother-in-law that Cece was deathly allergic to chocolate, that for the Easter baskets or for the Christmas candies or whatever, they could have only one type of chocolate. It was very expensive, and she even provided the supplier information to Cindy so that Cindy could spend a ton of money to get this super expensive chocolate for the girls' Easter baskets because Cece was so deathly allergic and severely anaphylactic to chocolate. And when Cindy turned around and saw that Cece had chocolate on her face and a mouthful of chocolate, she freaked because she thought, oh my gosh, this child is deathly allergic and severely anaphylactic to chocolate. And she looked at her daughter-in-law, who stood there laughing. She was laughing. She thought it was cute. And she kept laughing. Cindy thought she'd be dialing 911 and whipping out an EpiPen, trying to save the child's life. And she stood there, the daughter-in-law, laughing. She thought it was funny. And Cindy shared with us that at that moment, she realized her daughter-in-law was a liar. And she remained quiet, and she just took it all in and just thought to herself that she should have listened to her gut feeling all along. But she said that day proved to her that her daughter-in-law was a liar. And it also served to have her question what else her daughter-in-law was lying about. And that's when she began to question any of her claims. about any illness or any allergy. The autopsy reports clearly state that all three were healthy. Obviously, if Christopher Watt's wife had lupus, fibromyalgia, celiac disease, endometriosis, and whatever else is on the long list of supposed ailments, then it sure seems that it would obviously not be the case that the autopsy reports would say they were all healthy. There would have been some hint of some disease, and there was none. Bella and Cece were healthy children, yet they spent most of their lives being told that they were sick. Right before she was murdered in what should have been the safety of her own home, poor little Bella fearfully told her teenage babysitter how afraid she was that somebody would feed Cece something, I think it was kiwi or something, I don't know. And then she would never see her sister again. Little Bella lived in fear that somebody would feed Cece the wrong food and she would never see her sister again. 4-year-olds don't make that up on themselves, all by themselves. Paul says coconut. Okay, was it coconut? I don't know. The list is so long, it's confusing, isn't it? Little 4-year-old children do not live in fear that their baby sister is going to be killed by food unless they have a parent who is promoting that fear. In my opinion, that is child abuse. To be instilling terror in the heart of a child. To be creating a situation that that poor child is living in fear that her baby sister is going to drop dead if somebody feeds her the wrong bit of food. According to Cindy Watts, poor little Bella was afraid of everything. She was afraid of the dogs. She was afraid of the dirt. She was afraid of the rain. Four-year-old children are not naturally afraid of anything. Who was training Bella to live in fear? Who was telling Bella and Cece that they were sick? The other channels want to bash us for discussing what poor little Bella and Cece went through? Then it must be that they're okay with traumatizing children on a daily basis. Bella deserved better. Bella and Cece both deserved better. And in my opinion, they both deserve to be removed from that home at birth. Which is a good segue now to the discussion of CPS. Why are people contacting me telling me there was an open CPS case if there wasn't an open CPS case? Why are people telling me that that court hearing that was coming up was specific to that open CPS case? If there was a family plan in place, then why weren't those children removed a whole lot sooner than whatever the court hearing was evidently going to address? Was Christopher Watts told to stay in the home? Was he not able to leave? Was his presence in the home part of some family plan? Was Christopher Watts told that at the upcoming court hearing for the, quote, ongoing family matter, that he would be in full custody of Bella and Cece? Was he waiting for that day to be free? To not live in fear? To know that he was able to protect his children? What part of any family plan would have been cool with the subject of the family plan looking into the camera saying that she gave the girls lots of Tylenol? She gave them prednisone, amoxicillin, and lots of Tylenol, except I think she said the names of the medicines in a different order. I think it was amoxicillin, prednisone, and lots of Tylenol. If there was a family plan in place, then who was supervising the family? If there was a family plan in place, then why didn't that one video alone serve to support the effort to remove Bella and Cece from that home? Or at least to expedite the court hearing for the, quote, ongoing family matter? Why is it that in other cases, the two that come to mind right off the top of my head are the Rosenbaum case out of Georgia and the Susan Cox Powell case out of whatever state that was? Probably Utah, but I don't know, I'm guessing. Why is the public privy to all of that information? But in the case of Christopher Watts, everyone just stopped talking about it. That's what we were told. A family member early on in 2018 said the second court hearing was for an ongoing family matter. Now everyone just stopped talking about it. Yes, the water in the face video was exceptionally, in my opinion, also, I agree with you, abusive. The Santa Claus video, in my opinion, abusive. So if there was a family plan in place, who was monitoring that family? You know, we've spent 3 years saying, oh, Christopher Watts should have left her sooner. Maybe he couldn't. Maybe the family plan required him to be in the home. Robin, are you talking about Lisa Steinberg? What if Christopher Watts was told, we'll have that court hearing at the end of August, and at that point you will have full custody of the children, and we will order or ask the court to order that the children have supervision always, anytime they're in the same location as their mother. Yes, Lisa Steinberg. That case was very, very disturbing, but it really served to help society learn about child abuse and about how sometimes the system fails. Remember how her parents were both lawyers, or her adopted parents? Yes, had a Nussbaum, and how she had pretty much like turned off her senses. She was like a walking robot, zombie, something. So, what if Christopher Watts was told, hang in there, the end of August, we're going to have that court hearing, we're going to ask the judge to even terminate? Who knows? I don't know. And in the meantime, she would have been having supervision, right? Either at her in laws or at her parents' home. Notice how both children seemed in those photos and in those videos after staying a few weeks at their grandparents'. What if before she was taken to North Carolina, her dad flew with the kids and with her to North Carolina? What if before she was taken to North Carolina, the plan was already set that hearing the end of August would seal the deal, and Christopher Watts' nightmare would have been over? And Bella and Cece's too, if you ask me. He could have started off by reassuring Bella that Cece was safe. Nobody was going to feed her any foods that would kill her. He probably would have started off by taking the girls hiking, or at least taking them to a park, or at least taking them for a walk. You do realize he would have been fine financially in that house on his own. He could have played with the girls outside in the backyard in the evenings. They could have ridden bikes together. They could have gone up to the community pool. They would have been healthy because they were healthy. The autopsy report said so. He could have said no to giving them any Benadryl or Tylenol at bedtime. And he could have given them a reasonable bedtime. He could have gotten sleep, probably for the first time in 6 or 8 years. His life would have improved in every area. He had nothing to lose. He had no motive. Doinking a coworker is not a motive, in my opinion. According to one of the parents who was interviewed by law enforcement, Christopher Watt's wife came home and confronted him about the restaurant bill, or I should say the restaurant tab. How would the parent have known that she came home and confronted him? Well, law enforcement was curious about that too, and the parent elaborated that he was hearing that from, I think he said, Nikki, who was there. Really? Over 3 years of discussing this case, and every channel out there isn't discussing that one part of that one interview? He was telling law enforcement that his daughter came home and confronted Christopher Watts about that restaurant bill. And he was told that by, I think he said Nikki, who was there. Isn't that alarming? Let's go ahead and Google. It'll take me just a minute here. It'll take me just a minute. I want to find the exact words. Let's see if we can find the exact words.
Very sorry for your loss.
It's
a separation, fights. I mean, I don't know if you want to just keep it from us and not, get us involved in it. So nothing. And then she told Chris that you better call the hospital or something because Shannon's not answering her phone and she's supposed to take Bella to kindergarten. And truck was back into the driveway, and then I heard, but Sandy was on the phone with them when they got into the house. And I was there, and they said, her cell phone is here. Her purse is here. And then when I here, that's what Shannon had said. So, of course, Shannon never went back to the house for the children. She stayed at our house. So, until this all happened, and friends of Shannon said, no, this is what was going on. And they said, they had a suspicion that he may have been cheating on her because she had come home when he went. She was gone Saturday he was going to a baseball game, and I caught that kind of odd because he never leaves the kids with somebody else if Shannon's not there. He's usually always home. And they may get ready to go to a baseball game, but she came home and she checked her finances on the phone and found that he spent $60 for dinner. And he says, yeah, I went out and had salmon and a couple of beers. So, unless you went to a real expensive restaurant, $60 for a couple of beers. And that may have caused a little bit of, with her, like I said, if she knew anything that was thought something, that really threw her off, saying $60 for salmon and that.
So he told her that, or she called him?
No, I don't know if she was home at the time or if she called him up.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, it just didn't sound right to her.
Okay. And how do you know that conversation? Did she tell you this?
No, somebody else told her girlfriend. I think she told Nikki, the one that was there, and then she told us. And I mean, like I said, some of the stuff is kind of not all my words. So
Right. And I just need to make sure I understand which is.
Okay, did you guys hear that or no? I don't know if it went on, if it worked or not for the microphone. Did you guys hear that? He said she came home and she checked her finances on the phone. And then he responded, yeah, I went out. Okay. And then when Ellie asked, how do you know that? Well, he thinks that Nikki is the one who told him or told them. And then he said, she was there. There was confusion evidently over whether it was on the phone that she confronted him, right? That's what was said toward the end of that little clip. But wait a minute, because he said she came home and she checked her phone, or she checked her finances on the phone. She came home and she checked her finances on the phone. That sounds pretty clear. She came home and she checked her finances on the phone. And that's when she saw the restaurant, And he said, yeah, he went out for, some salmon and a couple of beers, etc., etc. Well, how do you know that? Did she tell you that? Well, no, Nikki, okay. She was there. Now, at that point, he may have meant that NA was there if it was on the phone between Christopher Watts and his wife, but are we just going to pretend that he didn't just say she came home and she checked her finances on the phone? And then she, probably, from the sounds of things, blew a gasket. I'm sorry, I'll repeat it again. Quote, she came home and she checked her finances on the phone, saw the restaurant thing. Okay, I'm not quoting right now, I'm ad-libbing. And he said, yeah, salmon and a couple of beers. And, well, how do you know that? Well, oh yeah, I'm probably Nikki, right? She was there. So if he's saying that NA was there when Christopher Watts and his wife had a phone call, then that would make sense, right? Except he very clearly said she came home and she checked her finances on the phone. When somebody says that we're never going to know the truth about this case, what that tells me is that we're being lied to. Why would somebody tell us that we're never going to know the truth about the case if we've already been told the truth about the case? Right? So the question begs, why are we being lied to? And yes, the question begs, why did Christopher Watts' wife's friend ask the police if she was going to be arrested when they asked her to come in for questioning? Arrested for what? She came home. And she said blah, 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 and then he said blah, 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 and da, 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 da. Well, how do you know? Oh, well, then maybe it was on phone. Yeah. Cosmo says, MM, you are on fire right now. RIGHT. NA gave SW cash for spending money. Why on earth did NA give SW cash for spending money? She was highly successful. She was 35th from the top. She had a stack of credit cards, according to the store clerk who claimed she waited on her and then called me with all the details. I would say probably wherever they were staying had an ATM. And if not, there was surely one within walking distance. So why would NA have given SW spending money? Whoa, 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 wait a minute. Could it be that SW didn't really have control over any finances? Tennyson, your comment doesn't make any sense. Please explain. Okay, let's just say hypothetically. Hypothetically speaking. Well, remember they bought her dinner, Susie. Susie says to chip in to pay food bill at the restaurant. Susie, remember they bought her dinner? Okay, hypothetically speaking, let's just say that there's a child, I don't know, 12 years old, who suddenly is exhibiting some really interesting yet very disturbing behavior patterns. And the child's doctor takes the child's parents. Okay, I don't get it. Susie, explain it to me. I don't get Tennyson's remark. I don't get it. Tennyson says, I also hate a certain color X if that's who you're talking about, Sophia. What? I'm glad you get it, Susie. I don't get it, but I know you see things I don't see. So I need you to explain it to me. So, okay, hypothetically speaking. Oh, okay, here we go. Tennyson says there's another creator covering the case, and if you ask or say one thing about Munchausen by proxy or SW not being a saint, they mute you. Yeah, I think pretty much you guys need to know that when you come into a chat, the channel creator can see that you're in the chat, even if you're not talking. Okay? They know who to watch out for. They know who to tell their mods, watch out for that one. They've already data mined long ago. So they know exactly what comments they want on the comment threads and what comments they don't. Take a look at how fast they delete comments. They're on it, man. They're on it. And ask yourself, why do those channels even need moderators? Seriously? Seriously. They don't. Okay, hypothetically speaking, 12-year-old girl starts exhibiting some really strange behaviors. Maybe has been up for years already, but at 12 years old, they became more and more unmanageable. So the parents took the 12-year-old to the doctor. The doctor's like, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with her. Took her to another doctor. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with her. Took her to another doctor. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with her. Finally, after doctor after doctor after doctor, finally a doctor said, "Oh, looks to me like she's having migraine headaches." So they put her on some pills that helped her sleep a lot. And then let's just say that at age 17, she leaves home. And let's just say that she quickly gets married at a very small wedding where most people didn't attend. Let's just say that her parents had already gotten her on some sort of a disability program, so she had a paycheck. I call it a paycheck. It's not really a paycheck. It's like a benefit check, which would have, provided for her basics. Okay? Let's just say that through the years, she decided she wanted to hop on these MLMs because she wanted to act like she was working. And let's just say that that first marriage ended in divorce because at some point she stopped coming home at night. And let's just say that she somehow was able to have an opportunity in a really strange year of opportunities, too. It was 2009, I think, in our hypothetical story here. In our hypothetical, in 2009, the housing crisis was still going on, and banks were actually much more attentive to every little detail, and the restrictions were in place. So somehow, someone was able to finagle getting a house, or a mortgage, I should say, with very little down. In a year, right after the bubble burst, the housing bubble, when buying a house with very little down was very, very rare, extremely rare. Let's just say that the certain someone soon realized that disability didn't go far, and she decided that she needed to find a guy with a good paycheck and excellent credit. Let's just say that that magical mortgage may have even been an adjusted rate mortgage, and she may have only had a couple of years to have the opportunity to refinance, or she may have lost, I don't know, the home. Maybe during a couple of years, the rate would have been somewhat doable, but maybe there was a 2-year or 3-year window when the certain someone in our hypothetical story may have thought, shit, what am I going to do? So maybe she met Christopher Watts one day. I'm just saying a hypothetical, so I should probably not name anyone. Maybe she met a guy at the auto parts place, and she thought, he drives a nice car. He looks like he comes from some good stock. Remember, when she first met him, he was fit, going to the gym every day, So maybe she pursued him and said, let's go out. And maybe on that first date, hypothetically speaking, on August 10th of 2010, maybe she found out that he had $13K in the savings account, a strong work ethic, and a good income. And maybe she thought to herself, he'll do. We were told she quit her job within 3 weeks. And I say job, but who knows? Was it part-time? Was it full-time? Who knows? We've been told everything under the sun. Hypothetically speaking, maybe she was getting by on disability. And maybe from August 10th of 2010 on, it was her new guy who was paying for everything. Do the math. They got married in November of 2012. They filed bankruptcy in June of 2015. That's 2.5 years. In just 2.5 years, they had over 70 grand to walk away from in debt. Over 70 grand in 2.5 years. Do the math. In 2015, in August of that year, those debts were discharged, deleted, poof. They walked away from over 70 grand in unsecured debt. It was finalized in August of 2015. And 3 years later, less than 3 years later, they were flat broke again. I don't think she had an income. I think she had a disability check. I think Christopher Watts was supporting her from the day they met. I think he believed the whole health challenges routine. Tennyson wants to know, why would he allow it? Well, I think he believed she was physically ill, and I think he didn't find out about any other dynamics going on with her health challenges until she was 32 weeks along in her pregnancy with Bella. I think that once he found out that he had one foot out the door, but that he was also very concerned about whether or not he would be able to protect Bella after a divorce. I think she absolutely surprised him, shocked him, confused him, whatever word, fill in the blank, when she announced that she was pregnant with Cece. I don't think that was part of his plan. And again, I think he found himself in a position where he was worried about the children in the event they were not protected after the divorce. I also think he was exhausted. In my opinion, I think he was abused. I think he was isolated, intentionally isolated. I think Cindy and Ronnie Watts were spot on when they said in an interview that they believed that she was trying to isolate him from his family and friends. Remember, she was offensive to his friends. She was insulting to his friends. And look at how she treated Cindy and the rest of them right before the wedding. Groomed is the word, Susie. Bingo. Groomed is the word. I think he was groomed. I think his self-esteem was plummeting. His self-confidence was plummeting. I think that he did what most people who are abused by an intimate partner do. I think he started to feel that somehow he was responsible for her behavior. Cindy Watts told us very clearly that everybody walked on eggshells around her because they didn't want to upset her. They didn't want to make her angry. Well, try living that way on a daily basis without getting proper sleep, isolated from your friends and family. I think Christopher Watts was about to escape with the children. I think for the first time he knew that in a divorce that the children would be protected after the divorce. I think that the upcoming hearing for the quote ongoing family matter was Christopher Watt's ticket out of hell. And I think that she realized what was about to occur. She told her quote unquote friends that when she tried to talk to him about the relationship, he said he wasn't going to lose the girls. I think he was dumb enough, gullible enough, beat down, exhausted, I don't know what word, enough to tell her honestly that yes, he was choosing Bella and Cece over staying with her. She told her quote unquote friends that she asked him if he would stay with her if they didn't have kids. We've been asking for 3 years. Who would ever ask that question? Well, I don't know. If you were about to lose your children, if your husband was leaving you with the kids, and there was a court hearing coming up, would you ask that question? Hey, if the kids are taken, would you stay with me? Can you think of any other explanation for her asking him that question? Would you stay with me if we didn't have kids? Maybe that court hearing was for the ongoing family matter. Maybe that was going to terminate parental rights. And maybe his only way of not having his parental rights terminated would have been to follow through with the divorce. Would you stay with me if we didn't have kids? What? Susie says she knew he was only there for the girls. Ms. Merriweather says, I'm shocked that he was able to live with someone who was almost certainly had a cluster B personality disorder, no proper meds. Lord, it had to be crippling. How do we know she didn't have proper meds? She may have been fully medicated. And then maybe, had whatever other meds too. It must have been crippling though. Seriously. It had to have been crippling. Think about this, you guys. This is like really in simple terms. Look at how we feel when we see that Santa Claus video. It is disturbing. It upsets us. We get angry. We get upset. We look at it and go, oh my gosh, right? We have all sorts of different reactions to that Santa Claus video. But one thing we all agree on is we can't stand watching it. Remember when we were watching it one time and it was like, oh, we can't keep watching this. It's too disturbing. He was living in it. Susie says if you mix the meds, it's toxic and dangerous. and very dangerous. And look at how pregnancy can interrupt certain meds too, right? And she was taking pills that weekend, and the quote-unquote friend said that she wasn't sure what for, if it was for morning sickness or whatever. What? 15 weeks long? I don't even want to talk about that pregnancy thing. We covered that pretty well the other day. But she's popping pills for what? What is she popping pills for? A woman who should have been in the emergency room a couple of weeks earlier, who should have been to her doctor probably 4 times or 5 times or 6 times by then, with all of, given all of her claims of diseases. And she's popping pills while she's sitting around being told she's a diabetic? Really? Tennyson Park says alcohol too. Oh, but remember, 0.128 is just decomposition. Except that isn't what the research studies showed. The research studies showed that out of 255 people, I think it was, I'm guessing, only 20% of them showed any post-mortem decomp, possibly attributing to an elevated BAC. And the mean, the mode, I'm not sure which it was, level was half of Christopher Watt's wife's level of BAC. Half. So we're supposed to believe, even though 80% of the people did not have an elevated BAC due to decomp, 80% of the 1 out of 5 who did, the median range was half. And we're just supposed to go, oh, okay, yep, that was decomp for sure. That's a good point. She didn't seem, but remember too, we don't know on what days those videos were made compared to other days. She may have had times where she was way up, and she may have had times where she was way down. Well, whether or not he would choose to protect her in death goes back to the discussion of whether or not he was an abused spouse. Because abused spouses make excuses all the time. Remember, I'll use Susie's word again. Part of the grooming process is it's almost like brainwashing. He may actually feel guilty, right? And remember, too, he was raised in a Christian home. He was raised in a Baptist home. He was raised in a home where he did learn that the father, the husband, is the spiritual head of the household with heavy-duty responsibilities on his shoulders. He was also raised with other teachings that if you think long and hard about this case, it might lead you to think of another reason why he might be keeping his mouth shut. How do you say your name, Ms.? Is it Mola or more of a Mola? Is it Mola? Pixie Doll says that's why she's always wired making videos every minute. I don't think she was making videos all the time. I think she was making videos all the time when she was on her high end. I think the other days, I think she stayed in bed. Think about it. The girls were in daycare full time. Christopher Watts was at work full time. What did she do all day? I'll just call you Ms. Ms. says, oops, it slid up. Hold on. I got to scroll up a second. Ms. says, Sharon Ann, he tells over and over how he killed them all. No one could say they killed their children and then put them in oil wells if he did not. Actually, yeah, they could. He also said that he did not murder his children. So it's interesting what we choose to believe. Yes, high and low is bipolar and PD. He has Asperger's 100%, undiagnosed and easily misguided, thus abused. I agree. I agree completely. Like he's definitely Asperger's. Ms. says, once a beat down, confused spouse finds someone new, it gives them new strength and they feel no more loyalty to their abuser. That isn't true. That is not true at all. Tennyson says, you do believe he grew up Christian, MM? Yes, he did. Baptist. Exactly, Sandy. He also said he did not murder the girls, so which story do you believe? Susie says, oh, geez. Oh, good. So, Ms. Mala? If I said that right, good. If not, correct me. Sorry. Sandy says, you can't choose to believe one story over another just because the last one was worse. Susie says, I've been there, and it is not true, Ms. Mala, or Mala. Ms. Mala. Oh, goodness. I will tell you this. Sometimes it takes decades after escaping an abusive relationship for the person who was abused to actually see the abuser for who they were. Decades. So if it can take decades, and I'm not talking just a rare case here and there. When I present my speeches on domestic violence and child abuse, I speak with many of those in attendance, and my crowds are 250, 300 people. Over and over again, people are telling me their stories. Afterwards, we have time where we get to talk, right? I hear stories over and over again where the person who escaped is still minimizing their abuser's actions. It is routine. It is normal. The same thing happens with adult children of child abuse, of childhood abuse, okay? There is a need to minimize the trauma. There is a need. It's all about survival. There's a need to minimize the severity of what went on. It's normal and healthy, actually. It's our own bodies and our own mind protecting us, right? It's normal. So the thought that 3 years later he's still sitting there trying to take the blame for everything, not surprising. Exactly, Cecile. Excellent point. Cecile says, funny how we are so quick to recognize that poor Gabby was the victim while she was claiming the opposite, and we fail to recognize a man in the same situation. And I do think in that case, Cecile, that if it had been reversed, there would have been an arrest made. Ms. Mala says the female cop said it to him as a strategy to get him to talk. I don't think it was a good strategy, but that was part of the early interrogation. That's part of the narrative that we were told. That's part of the narrative that we were told was that, oh, he only said that because that's what she said. Well, I disagree. I think he said it because I think that's what happened. And I'll take it a step further. That's the part of his interview that I stopped believing because I think after that point, he tried to minimize what happened next. And in my opinion, his need to minimize and his need to accept blame for what happened next had to do with his upbringing. Susie thinks that he actually passed the polygraph. Oh, that's interesting. I wish they would have asked the question about the children. That would have been interesting. I'm going to take a look at that one channel. Oh, maybe I'm not. Let me see if it's still here. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I found it. Okay. I'm just going to scroll down back on the subject we were talking about earlier, about the online bullies. I'm still scrolling. Here's an interesting comment. There you are. I'll look at these comments first here. Elise says, not irrational love. It's called unconditional love, and it should never, ever be abused. I got news for you guys. Love doesn't hurt. Ms. Mulla had said earlier what she was replying to is Ms. Mulla's comment that said, It seems that people in abusive relationships either have an irrational love for their abuser or they feel they have no way out. Either they will be in more danger, lose all their finances, etc. I agree. It is not irrational. It is probably a result of being conditioned, groomed, lied to. Oh, there's somebody left for him to protect, Ms. Mulla. Sharon and Susie are calling me to the carpet on my statement that love doesn't hurt. Okay, how about this, you guys? Love isn't supposed to hurt. Mrs. Fluffer, hey. Mrs. Fluffer says SW hated CW and was just using him for money and to have a husband like her friends and maybe to get away. You can tell she couldn't stand him in her Facebook lives. I think she hated him. And I don't think hate is too strong of a word in that context. I think she hated him. I think she hated herself. I think she hated her life. I think she hated lying. And I think she hated pretending. And I think she hated not knowing how to just be a person. Okay, now I want to take a look at this thingy. Where is it? Here's one of the comments on that Evil Bullies comment threads. Cindy Watts in a nutshell. When a narcissist can't control someone, they try to control what others think of them. What? When has Cindy Watts ever tried to control what anybody else thinks of her? This is like a breeding ground for hate. Here's a comment that I find interesting. Quote, I really didn't realize there was a Chris Watts fan club who are divisive and immature. Are you kidding? Anybody actually believes there's a Chris Watts fan club? Well, I don't think they actually think there is one. I think they're basically told to say those stupid things. One hate-filled comment after another. One after another from somebody who literally spends time on her own channel going, oh, we'll pray for you. We'll pray for you. Oh, we'll pray for you. We're praying for you. Yes, we prayed for you. You know what? Pray for yourself, lady. Pray for yourself. Because as long as you keep that crap online, you're committing some pretty serious offenses. Sophia says she's a CW lover too. Susie says, keep saying that, MM. What? I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you. That? Sophia says CW is a coward for not saving his babies. Well, maybe CW saved his babies for a few years already. And maybe CW thought that the ongoing Family Matter court hearing was going to be able to save them for good. Susie likes that. She wants people to pray for her. Okay, Susie, I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you. She was an ingrate and he an easy target. I think she was a liar, for sure. And I think she conned him from day one. When I dug in to find that nursing program that she claimed had accepted her, which I don't believe for 1 second, I don't think she could have ever gotten accepted into any nursing program. When I dug in and found that school and the catalog for what classes, courses, programs they offered that specific year, and I found that the course, program, whatever, didn't even exist, I was disgusted. And so were all the actual nurses who were discussing the case at the time. Nurse Nene, my ass. Doesn't that make you angry? It should. People who are actual RNs actually bust their butts to get their degrees. They actually bust their butts at their work. And she called herself Nurse Nene, and she told people that she was going to be an RN with a 4-year degree in 2 years from a program that didn't even exist. Tennyson says, this is gross, but wasn't SW found in a position that could be a drug overdose or suicide? If you consider how her body was, the position her body was in, and then you consider a toilet bowl. And here's the thing. Why were her feet turned up? Okay? Why were her feet turned up? Now consider the position of a toilet bowl. Why was her butt in the air? Consider the position in front of a toilet bowl. Why was that bathroom door locked? Why was there the smell of bleach? Why didn't the forensics team take a whole bunch of samples? Why is the house still sitting there? Not being sold? Mrs. Flufford thinks that she threatened a lot to hurt the kids, and CW thought it was just her usual tantrum. I think it was more serious than that. I think that he did see her as a danger. I think there were supposed to be other people there with her. I don't think he thought that the children would be in danger. Tennyson, the dogs did make hits. Weren't there hits in the closet? Weren't there hits in the basement? I think it's very telling there were no hits around his work truck. I think that upcoming court hearing for the ongoing family matter is key to understanding what the hell was really going on leading up to the tragedy. Well, Sharon, watch the videos again. That's right, Susie. Nothing in the truck. If there was a dead body in that truck, it sure seems to me the dogs would have hit. Dave says, and how did she fit on the floorboard? Good question, Dave. Tennyson asks if there would be any possibility that she perhaps didn't make it home from the trip. Maybe she passed prior. The ring footage is not from August 13. You know, in this case, anything's possible, right? Mrs. Fluffer says maybe her mother-in-law did call CPS. I've often said that myself. Maybe she did. Maybe a lot of people did. Susie says, I've been thinking that with the door footage too. Sandy's agreeing. Sandy says, Tennyson, I highly doubt that ring footage is from the 13th. She is wearing different clothes. You know, I only remember seeing one photo of her during her summer, during her separation from Christopher Watts over the summer for 5 weeks straight. I've only seen one photo of her during that entire time frame. One. And she doesn't look at all like any of her other photos. Ms. Mella says, so do you think SW's remains were taken in another vehicle? Yes, I do. Mrs. Fluffer says, I heard that for a while, that it wasn't the real video. I don't think it was the real video. And remember, that video wasn't released for a long time until there were a bunch of us talking about it. And then all of a sudden, poof, here's the video. Oh, she wasn't drunk. See, she was walking. She was walking. She wasn't drunk. That video was released after everything else was released. And it was only released when a bunch of people were saying 0.128 is decomp. Are you kidding me? And then all of a sudden, a YouTuber was given that video to release to the public. Why would a YouTuber have been given that video to release? And come on. Whoa, really? Let me read this one. This one surprises me. Sophia's Dream Quinn Blue says, they needed to make it look like it was after she arrived back home. I actually questioned the entire Arizona trip. I think she died in NC. Whoa, I've never heard that theory before. Tell us more. Tell us more about your theory. I've never heard that before. I'm going to make a banner here, or I think I'm going to. I'm going to try. Let's see here. That's not the one. I guess create a banner. Scroll across. I'm just going to put the address on for Patreon, you guys. There it is. Oops, I was talking, but I had it muted. Sorry. Sophia's dream, Quinn Blue says she left for NC, and I don't believe she even came home again. CW was framed and scared of somebody. Whoa. I've never heard that theory before. Never. Sharon says you would think there'd be some airport some airport footage, but there's none. Sandy says Susie, she posted a pic of her and her friends at the airport restaurant having dinner because the lights went out. I believe it was in Arizona while they were waiting to get on the plane. That is an interesting theory. I've never heard that theory before. I did get a weird phone call from someone who claimed that there was some interesting footage at the airport in North Carolina. Interesting. Very interesting. Have you guys seen a new channel? Well, maybe it isn't a new channel, but I just found it yesterday. The name of the channel is You Know Me. I think it's called You Know Me. I'll search for it here a second and see if I can find it. I'll have to add Christopher Watts to it to see because it's not coming up here. So it might be new. Let me see. Okay, yeah, it's called You Know Me. Let me put this in and see what it says here. No, that won't work. Let's try it again. Okay, let's see. There's some interesting videos on here. I'm going to go to the About and see what it says. Yep, October 14, 2021. So it is a brand new channel. Okay, I just saw it yesterday for the first time. Well, I might have seen one of the videos before that, but it looks like 3 days ago they started uploading videos. They're pretty interesting. So if you go to YouTube and put in the search, you know me, and then put in Christopher Watts or Chris Watts, there's some interesting videos. Here's one I haven't seen yet. It's kind of interesting. I don't know who it is at all. So I think it's a cute name to say you know me, because I don't know. But a couple of interesting videos on there. Yeah, I saw that, Sandy. I saw that. In fact, I think that might be why it came up in my feed, because that's the one that came up in my feed. Her body stayed there? Really? Sharon, to say I wouldn't believe anything MM unless there's proof, it doesn't sound like a true crimer. Like, what proof is there of anything? With anything about this case? We've been lied to so many times. It's more like puzzle pieces fitting together and whether or not any of it makes sense. Sophia's Dream says those girls were not in the tanks. I agree with you, Sophia's Dream. I agree with that. Susie says, which discovery? LOL. Lots of love. That's an interesting theory, Sophia. Sharon says, no, when you said someone told you about interesting I don't know why I keep saying airport footage, I would say to that, show me proof. Well, Sharon, if that's what you would say to that, then you probably don't have people calling you with all sorts of information. You know, I've had people call me who are, well, not so much now. They're not saying they're afraid now. But that first year, there were people who were deathly afraid. There were people who were absolutely frightened to speak. And then they landed on our channel, and, you know, since the scumbag attackers were doxing me all over the place, it was easy for them to call me. That's the same way Cindy Watts contacted me. You know, if I said to Cindy Watts, show me proof, Cindy, she probably wouldn't have called a second time, you know? I'm just saying. But if someone wants to call me and tell me, like the lady who waited on Christopher Watts' wife, if she wants to tell me about her experience, I'm going to go ahead and ask questions and listen and see if it kind of resonates with the other stuff that we've seen and that we've heard and that we've seen even from her own posts. Shalina has a long comment here. Let's see what she says. Hi, Shalina. Shalina says, I was told by an OG Watts YouTube guy that Miss Mensa is not wrong. I say, about what? He said, none of it. She isn't liked because of what she says about SW girls, CPS, etc., but she is spot on. Well, whoever it is you're speaking of is spot on too. Sharon says, I'm just saying they could say anything. Right, but I put him through the Miss Mensa rapid fire questioning, and pretty much I'm kind of good at interrogating people on the phone. Comes from my years as a police dispatcher. I know how to ask questions. Susie says, nah, I'm not on board with all the NK and Anadarko crap. The case is simple, in my opinion, and not conspiracy. I'm not at all on board with any of the NK or Anadarko crap at all. Hey, Kay Cooper. Yes, we are. The weather is beautiful. How about you? I think the whole NK thing is all part of the false narrative to try to keep people away from talking about the fact that the position her body was in, you line that up with the toilet bowl. There's a video on the Set the Record Straight Up Blowing Minds channel that has it exactly like drawn right out for everyone. Look at the position, line it up with the toilet bowl, come to your own conclusion. Yes, Sophia, I agree. NK is a distraction. Shalina says, I'm not saying who told me, but he is a credible source, so show more faith in what she says. There's something else about the stuff I've been saying, Shalina, is I've been consistent from day one. I've learned new things along the way, so I've added to, the puzzle. I always say it's like another puzzle. We don't have to force it in. It fits in, right? Look at all the other channel creators. They go from, totally bashing one side or the other, whatever. They flip-flop, depending evidently on how much money they think they can make by having whatever opinion, supposedly. And they never dig in. They never actually dig in. They can sit there with all their, page whatever from the discovery and act like they're really trying to analyze it. Yet they don't know the basic facts of the case. All I know about the red truck thing, well, I shouldn't say all I know about the red truck thing, but one thing that I thought was interesting about the red truck thing is that there's a part where the friend is riding in the truck, and while she's riding in it, she's watching the rear view mirror. And she has a look of fear in her eyes. And if you watch that, you have to kind of wonder, could that be a flashback moment? Susie says LE have totally lied. It's all corrupt. I don't think LE has totally lied. I do think there may be a couple of them who know more, but I don't think the entire bunch of them are in on anything. I think that there might be a couple of them who do know more, and I said the other day, and I'll say it again, I think that long before the tragedy occurred, that Christopher Watt's wife was well known to the local police. Yes, Mrs. Fluffer, check the knives. Yes, Susie, I had a dream. but don't call my daughter. But I'll call the daycare. Shotgun wedding, Mo? I don't think so. Or if so, I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard that yet. Or could it be she just wanted to... I won't say it. Yes, Kay Cooper. Ronnie Watts got on the first plane. My what if video that I put up on Patreon yesterday morning was what if Cindy Watts had accompanied Ronnie out to Colorado when that call came in. In my opinion, had she flown out there, and I'm not faulting her because she had no reason to think that such a terrible tragedy would have occurred, but had she flown out with Ronnie, I think Christopher Watts would have been found not guilty. I think Christopher Watts' wife was known to the department. I think she was known to a few departments. Shalina is like firing up her keyboard today. And it's hard for some people to wrap their brains around such horror. But true crime isn't cookie cutter. All I'm saying, people, do your own research to prove or disprove if you are not sure. Exactly. Do your own research. Dig in. And then, if you happen to know the answer to this, let me know. What dose exactly is lots of Tylenol? Sophia says he should have taken the girls and gotten an order of protection. I think that was already going to be handled at the upcoming court hearing for the ongoing family matter. I think he thought that the girls were safe, and I also think that somebody was supposed to be there with her. That is interesting, isn't it? I've never heard of a person being identified over the phone with the simple question, is she beautiful? I don't think that's how identifications are made. Ever. I mean, is that what the claim is? That was how she was identified by the next of kin at that point? Was over the phone? So that would kind of add to that other theory, right? Cosmo says, in whose world does any of this make sense? In nobody's world. Tennyson says she was not identified. She was not in Colorado. I agree with that idea. LOL. Lots of love. Kay Cooper says, exactly, Susie. The SW supporters always say that her family couldn't afford to fly out. BS. Well, one of the family members said that. He said that to law enforcement, that he couldn't afford to fly out, and that if someone would have sent him the money for a plane ticket, he would have gone. I don't know. At that age, I think at that point he would have been like 30. At that point, we had already built a brand new house, mortgage free on 10 acres. So, I don't know. Supporting 3 kids and a couple of businesses. Yeah. I don't know. We bought our own plane tickets. Well, didn't they raise like over $100,000 right off the bat within the first 2 weeks? And then Ronnie and Cindy were ridiculed evidently for selling some of Christopher Watts' tools or something. They were ridiculed over and over again, while the other side of the family was holding fundraisers and raking in lots of money. I haven't seen any fundraising going on with the Watts side. Have you? And you know what? Whatever. Whatever they're doing, whatever. But I don't agree with ridiculing the Watts for selling some of their son's tools. Exactly, Sammy Terry. Why are they so against people theorizing? People have always theorized about murders that seem off. Look at JFK, Marilyn Monroe, Sharon Tate, but SW is off limits? Yeah, I don't think so. Mrs. Fluffer says, and why would they take all this stuff out of the house in a moving truck to sell? Well, I've heard two things about this. One, I was told that that moving truck was already lined up. I also heard an interesting detail as to who had paid for it. The other thing that I've heard is that the stuff that was moved out of the house is still sitting in a storage place somewhere and nobody has returned to it. Shalina says, send him the money, wouldn't have guaranteed he would have been on the next flight. Well, I don't understand. That's a thought process I just don't understand. Who is supposed to send money for somebody to take a flight? I don't understand that. Paul T says, how much is lots of money? LOL, lots of love. I think there was over 100,000. I think within 2 weeks there was over 100,000. I think there was 36,000 given to them from the Victims Fund. New Orleans is our new friend, guys. We'll let her stay. Look at what she just said. I think you are wonderful. Welcome, New Orleans. You feel free to say whatever you think, too. Susie says, well over 1 million by now. Let's see. Well, wasn't there a life insurance policy? I don't know any mother of small children who's married who doesn't have a will. That doesn't make sense. I also don't know any woman who is a mother of small children who's married who doesn't have her small children and her spouse as beneficiary on any life insurance policy. Oh, for her grand's funeral? That was long before. Yeah, she flew to visit her grandmother. Well, this wasn't the funeral one. This is a different thing. She flew to visit her grandmother, and then she posted on her Facebook thing that she was actually her friend using her Facebook thing to post a fundraiser for her so that she could visit her grandmother. She was already visiting her grandmother. So, I've said it before. She should have just posted, hey, instead of telling you that I'm my friend who broke into my Facebook account to run a fundraiser to surprise me or something, I guess. I'll just tell you straight up, I need your help to pay my credit card. Because if she was already there, that means she already bought the ticket. But then the fundraiser was posted after she was already there to help her go see her grandmother. You see what I'm saying? Kind of reminiscent of the whole, if you're donating cash to the lupus, whatever, you can just give it to me and I'll make sure they get it. And we're going to go ahead and extend that fundraiser another couple weeks too. So if you're donating cash, just bring it to me. Paul T says, yes, deception. Yep. Liar, liar, pacifier. It didn't start when she was in her 30s either, right? You know that she belonged to Amway when she was in her 20s, right? I think she was wearing one of the Amway promo t-shirts, because she had a t-shirt thing going. I wonder if she belonged to a t-shirt MLM saying, we got this. We got this. We got what? We got a strange desire to sign up for multiple level marketing companies? Yes, Susie, and then another t-shirt. Oops, we did it again. To which her mother-in-law told me that her son was very shocked to hear that she was pregnant, considering, well, I think it's just wrong. There's a right and there's a wrong, and I think it's wrong. Tennyson says she was not pregnant. No way. I think that Christopher Watts needs some serious psychological help, quite frankly. I think he needs somebody to work with him to really listen, somebody who he would absolutely be able to confide in, who actually respects confidentiality. And I think it might still take him years to be able to, peel away the layers of the onion, to learn, even to be able to begin to recognize what he went through. And I'm not talking just on one day, I'm talking for 8 years. They weren't even married yet when she shoved him out the door. She wrestled him right out the door. She grabbed him, roughed him up, and wrestled him right out the door. If she was a male, she would have had a criminal record for domestic assault. And for any of you naysayers out there, don't give me that bull that anyone's bashing anyone. If you're okay with a woman attacking, physically assaulting another person and roughing them up and shipping them out the door and locking the door and knowing damn well he didn't have his car keys or his phone or his shoes, if you're okay with that, then that's on you. Yes, Spacebound. I don't mean anyone who's connected with any, money-making scheme or any kind of false narrative scam. I mean, he needs somebody with some training and education and experience and working with people who have been abused. Ooh, Mrs. Fluffer says, I don't think she was pregnant, and used Cece's ultrasound picture to show not going to the doctor and drinking. Both very, very good points. And also that spotting and cramping routine, too. And popping pills. What, for migraines? Really? Oh, wait, was it for morning sickness? Come on. And you know the ultrasound picture that was posted in the early days of the case discussion? You couldn't see the date on them. That's what everyone said right off the bat. That's from when she was pregnant with Cece. Paul's last comment just reminded me of something. You guys were talking about the fundraising and stuff like that. Paul said, why would they need a bigger house? So weird. That just jiggered my thought here. Think about the house in North Carolina. Why would a young woman in her mid 20s, that's what we were told, we think she was older, a lot older, why would she have bought that house? Who was she moving in? Who did she move in? Did she move a bunch of people in? Was that the plan? I don't know. Ms. Mulla says that we were told that she had a coffin birth, which really makes me question everything we've been told. They even updated the Wikipedia entry on coffin births to say that she had a coffin birth. Like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. See, I have this little problem. I like to think logically. I like to think critically. I like to analyze things. I like to, be reasonable in our discussions. Coffin birth, that doesn't pass the logic and reason thing. It just doesn't. Neither does the BAC. And quite frankly, neither does the 15 weeks. Neither does the excuse that she was out of network. And you know what? That whole 5 weeks away from her husband, who does that? When you have small children, you don't deprive them of their other parent, especially when the other parent is their primary parent for 5 weeks straight. You might go on vacation for a week or two. Yes, all three were healthy. Well, Ms. Mulla asks an interesting question. What is the purpose for them to lie? I think there are a lot of different possibilities, Ms. Mulla. Daisy Day says, what was the ex-husband saying? He hadn't heard from her in years, yet his wife was friends with her in the MLM. Nothing makes sense. Where's all the people from her past, from growing up? Where's her high school graduation photo? Oh, wait. Where are the photos from her first wedding? Oh, wait. Shalina says, I think she was pregnant. I just think the donor was, oops, I can't see your comment. It's not clicking. There we go. I still think she was pregnant, but the donor wasn't the right one, was hoping for miscarriage. This fluffer Mrs. Fluffer says no, and what about NA Yeah. Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear me okay, because my thing is still not clicking right. HCN says at 4 months pregnant, no way. Sophia says fluffer, yes. NA knows everything. Susie says NA also said she went to the doctor's office to see if she went to the appointment. They wouldn't be allowed to tell you. Exactly. And Cecile says, exactly, Susie. I just cannot imagine any doctor's office going, what was her name? What was her date of birth? What time was she supposed to? Oh, let me look. Sure, I'll look it up for you. No problem. Or I think at one point somebody said that they thought that NA just went in and saw some sign-in sheet or something, and she looked herself or something. I don't think so. I don't think so. They're not going to keep some sign-in sheet right there where anyone can walk up and take a gander. I keep getting these little click messages on here that my internet connection is spotty. Something's up. Paul says NA was her carer. That is my opinion. I think that she had a series of caregivers, and I think that her caregivers were probably getting paid. And I think that when she went to North Carolina, that it was because they didn't have the money to put the kids in daycare for the summer session. And I think that the fact that her friend got married while she was gone, well, to me, that would make sense if you're a caregiver and you're charged with caring for, or I would say probably supervising or transporting kids or whatever, and that's just like a part-time job or something, then, and you have a wedding coming up, then that works out really well to get married while the person you're responsible for being a caregiver for is gone for 6 weeks, right? That just kind of all fits. Again, it's those puzzle pieces that you don't have to force into place. They just kind of fall into place that you go, huh, that would make sense. It would also make sense that she was right away early that morning, saying, oh, where is she? Why hasn't she posted anything? Just a mere, 5.5 hours after they supposedly just flew in. Exactly. SW didn't go to the wedding. Now remember, the false narrative is how she was so highly successful. Well, if you're that successful, you fly in for your best friend's wedding, don't ya? In fact, you're probably her maid of honor, aren't ya? Here's a new name. Hi, Britt. Britt Marie. CW had been used for such a long time that they just kept on using him for economic reasons. They hadn't gotten the insurance money if she killed herself. Paul T says, but they were best friends. He didn't say it with that kind of a voice, though. HCN says, of course she was pregnant. I'm saying HCN. Is that HAN or HCN? My computer is flaky. It might be, I don't know. I'll call you Handy. Handy says, of course she was pregnant. It was a big deal to the mistress and what got SW killed. Woo! I disagree with that totally. I don't think the mistress cared one iota. I think there were a couple of co-workers doinking. I think CW knew his marriage was long over. I think he was being honest with his co-worker when he said he was soon to be divorced. And I think that he was thrilled to be moving on with his life. Daisy Day says, am I being arrested? Why would you be? Exactly. And why didn't law enforcement dig in? When you have somebody saying, check the knives, why didn't law enforcement dig in further? When you have somebody saying, am I going to be arrested if I come in for questioning? Why didn't they dig in further? That should have been alarm bell city right there. Arrested for what? Mrs. Fluffer says, wow, I didn't know that's when she got married. Yeah, that's what I've been told, is that she got married while SW was staying with others. Handy says, SW was resentful about CW getting to be without the kids, blah, blah, blah. I think she was resentful because she was about to lose a lot more than that. Exactly, Shalina. And I think that's the only reason he parked in the driveway was because I think he was so done. Cecile for not doing her job, ? I don't know. Maybe not being there? I don't know. I think someone was searching for that makeup bag. I don't know. Exactly, Miss Mala. And according to his mother, they weren't. Oh, okay. You don't want to be called Handy? Sorry. Okay, HCN. Oh, you like Handy? Okay. It's up to you. I'll call you whatever you want me to call you. Susie says the image she was losing, and that was probably the most important thing. I don't even think it was the image. I don't think she was that well developed. I think she had zero options. I think she was on disability. I think she was under constant care and supervision. And I think that she knew damn well that the gig was up. Paul says, remember on July 4th, CW had 7 missed calls from SW. Is this normal? No, it is not normal. And if any of you are in a relationship and you're getting missed calls from whoever you're with, take a closer look at your relationship. You need healthier boundaries. You need a healthier relationship. Mrs. Fluffer says, I think CW was done with SW, and her saying I'm pregnant was just to guilt him and make him look bad to the family. And I think that he probably thought to himself right then and there, yeah, bullshit. Who'd you get to pee on this pregnancy stick? Yes, the image of the life that she faked. She knew what she was pulling. She knew it, right? And she knew it was all going to disappear. And remember, Cindy Watts told me that her son told her the last thing he remembered her saying was that she was going to make him pay for this and that he would never see the girls again. I think he went outside, pulled into the driveway because he thought, screw this shit, I'm pulling into my own driveway. And he's probably like thinking to himself, when is that court hearing? He probably knew down to the minute, given the possibility he had Asperger's. He probably knew down to the minute when that court hearing was about to begin. And he thought, screw this, I am not parking in the street. I am pulling in the driveway to load up my stuff. And I think that pissed her off to no end. I think she ripped off that caffeine-coated Band-Aid and stormed right then and there. Shalina says, if you think 7 calls within 2 hours is normal, run. Save yourself and your children. Spacebound says, and there was nothing CW could tell her to make her happy. He tried, I believe. Well, I don't think there was anything anyone could have said to her because I think she had some serious stuff going on. Cosmo says, as conniving as SW was, her struggle in those videos is sad, in my opinion. Well, I feel sad about Bella's struggles in those videos for sure. Miss Mulla says, Mrs. Fluffer, but then the way he said to SW, when you want something, it happens, sounded like he knew she wanted and was trying for a pregnancy. Or maybe, okay, hypothetically speaking, if he was married to a total nutcase and he came home from work and brought the kids in and everyone unloaded their backpacks and their lunch buckets and whatever, and then she said to him, okay, go back outside because I want to make a video. We're going to do a video today because I'm pregnant. So go back outside. And he's probably like, oh shit, here we go again. Tired, he had just picked up the kids from the daycare center and all. He was probably like, okay. And he probably made sure he had the key on him to get back in the house, right? And then he probably went back out to the garage, and then she's probably like, oh, here he is. Oh, he's home. He's home. And then he came walking in, and then she goes, oh, and shows him her T-shirt. And then he goes, oh. And then he says, quote, when you want something, it happens. I don't know. Maybe he thought that up when he was waiting in the garage. I don't know. Yes, patched up and black label too. Do you know any OBGYN who would say to their patient, sure, wear all the caffeine-coated Band-Aid you want. Double up. Double up. Oh, wait, she didn't go see her OBGYN. And on that note, I'm going to take off, you guys. I've got stuff to do today. But I wanted to jump on and say hey. Because I know I jumped off really fast the other day. Sorry about that, but you know me. If my phone rings, I answer. When company comes, I hop off of the internet. So you guys run along. You're welcome, Shalina. You guys run along and make the most of the rest of today. Aw, Susie, you're sweet. Thank you, dear. Let's get out there, go for a walk, get into the sunshine, breathe some fresh air. Yes, Mrs. Fluffer, I'm glad you were here. It was good to see you too. Thanks, Cosmo. And let's make the most of the rest of our weekend, and everybody have a safe week. Be safe. Be healthy. Oh, Susie says it's nearly dark here already. LOL. Lots of love. Claire says, big hugs, everyone. Susie says, bye, all. Miss Merriweather says, enjoyed the time, MM. Everyone have a great day. So, okay, be safe, be healthy, and know that you are loved. Oh, and Cecile's praying for us all. I'm not trying to sound sacrilegious, you guys. Sorry about that. Ooh. Extinct Tube says, wish you'd answered my question. Okay, hurry it up. Tell me. Spacebound says, bye. Go ahead, Extinct Tube. Make it quick and I'll answer it. Everyone look at Extinct Tube. Ask it fast, baby. Here it is. Who were you speaking of in the beginning? A clue. Here's the thing, Extinct Tube. That information was brought to my attention by somebody who is encouraging me to follow a legal path. So I did not say the person's name until I make that decision. So it isn't that I'm not answering your question. It's that I'm going to make my decision first before I say anything on YouTube about it. I don't gather up all the junk that's out there. Other people gather that up, and then they bring stuff to my attention. And this particular person is the investigator for my lawyer who thinks with what he has gathered that I should move forward in that particular instance. So we'll just let it be. So I didn't mean to ignore you or anything, like that, but there's a reason. Cecile says, bye all. Daisy Day says, bye all. Jeanette says, bye, Miss Mensa, bye all. And I think we got everyone. Oh, Sharon says, great live, Miss Mensa. Ms. Mulla says, didn't he also look at the pea stick color and ask if that meant it was a boy? Yeah, his acting skills kind of sucked, I thought. So now, let's take off. Let's make the most of the rest of the weekend. And I just want to say this. I'm really glad that you guys joined us with this live chat. You know, sometimes we have like 25, 30 people. Sometimes we have 15 or 20. And that's cool. That's wonderful. Because everyone who comes here to discuss the case of Christopher Watts, you're actually here to discuss the case of Christopher Watts, and you're active in the chat, and I really appreciate that. But when we have a few more people talking, it's actually, it's so much more interesting, especially like that new theory that we just heard today from Sophia. I've never heard anyone say that. So that'll give all of us something to kind of think about, you know, and to wonder about, and to think, maybe. Because that's what true crimers do. And at least on this channel, we're true crimers. And it's fun. I'll see y'all real soon. We'll do this again, hopefully midweek. If not, next weekend for sure. Talk to you soon. Be safe, be healthy, and remember, you are loved.